Hi, it's counselor and educator Dr. Greg Jantz, founder here at the Center, a place of hope. Now, I have a few thoughts around how to calm an anxious stomach when there's times of intensity of anxiety, and you find yourself at a place. I'm feeling this where I'm feeling my anxiety in the pit of my stomach. And it's so important to note that stress, anxiety, one of the first areas that it hits us, besides maybe a headache, is our gut. The gastrointestinal system is hit, and one of the first ones in our physical body to be affected by chronic stress and anxiety. And this is why we do say, I feel this in the pit of my stomach. And there is something called the gut-brain connection. The gut-brain connection. Sometimes the gut is referred to as the second brain. I don't know, that sounds funny, but there is a vagus nerve. So that's the nervous track that goes from the stem of the brain down to the gut, our intestinal tract. We're just making all this really easy, but and you look at it and go, oh, I understand. This is why things are affected the way they are. That vagus nerve is the communication between the brain here and the second brain, the gut. And it also is a kind of a two-way highway in that the dopamine that is manufactured in our gut, the serotonin, these are important brain chemicals, travel via that vagus nerve. So healthy gut function is critically important for, as we know now, our mental health well-being. And what this looks like is, if my digestion is running on fast food, I've had a lot of antibiotics, I've killed a lot of probiotics, the good bacteria in my body, and my body can't keep up and manufacture, because the body will manufactures that healthy bacteria. And if I keep doing things that destroy it, and one would be alcohol, others certain medications. We know that there's a delicate balance between healthy bacteria and, in essence, bad bacteria, at times a yeast type bacteria. And in our gut, that balance is critical, because if we get too low in the good bacteria, our body does not manufacture the B vitamins we need. It doesn't manufacture the right chemicals in the right amounts for the brain function, and it's all tied together for our emotional well-being. And you will experience, bottom line, you'll experience anxiety, high anxiety at times. So the gut-brain connection, oh, so important to look at. And we know that some of the common, what we call GI, gastrointestinal symptoms of anxiety, and I made a list here. I feel nausea, and just that sense of I'm on the edge. I feel like I could throw up. I feel nauseous. Oftentimes a loss of appetite, or my appetite seems really off. I may notice just an intensity in my gut where it feels like it's cramping. You may notice extremes like diarrhea, even constipation. My digestive system is like way off. And there is something called IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and that actually can be triggered by this chronic stress and the anxiety response. So think in terms of chronic stress, then chronic stress produces that anxious system in the gut and in the brain. So now we do need to calm the stomach. And there is a breathing exercises. We go into it a little bit more here in the article, but the breathing exercises, what we call progressive muscle relaxation. And I just want to say these can be a challenge to do when you're full of anxiety. and you're trying to do these things, you go, I just can't do it. And I understand there's a challenge in doing this, but practicing the body, moving back to relaxation, going for a walk, increasing physical activity is all a part of this, but it's usually the last thing we feel like doing. Let me just say too, there are some fun herbal remedies. You've heard of chamomile tea, and ginger tea, which we know relates back to digestion, particularly that ginger tea. And they tend to be calming and anti-inflammatory. See, that stress, that inflammation on the gut, it's going to affect the brain. So we got two brains here to deal with. And that anxiety, let me just say, sometimes you feel like I'm losing my mind, but it's the physiological response, that anxiety. All right, another one fun to try is peppermint tea, particularly for stomach pain and bloating. I'm saying switch to some of these herbals versus the caffeine that you feel like you have to do, or the energy drinks, which is not going to be helpful because we tend to do too much. So this is where stimulants of any kind, I'm going to say sugar is not going to be real helpful. You may feel like having that half gallon of ice cream, but it's not going to be the best thing to do for you. And what we know is the body begins to cry out when there's chronic stress and anxiety. I'm just talking about the gastrointestinal system is the first that we really start to feel, and it does then begin to throw off other systems in our body and hormonal function as well. So keep this in mind. Let's deal with it now. Get rest of the information in the article, but deal with it now. We see far too many clients who've had chronic stress, depression, extreme anxiety, and we all tend to wait too long to intervene and get the help we need. So my encouragement is don't wait. It's been 3 months and you're having all these symptoms, and you're man, I'm feeling it in my gut. Something's way off. That's usually the body's crying. The body's crying out for us, both physiologically and emotionally, saying, I've had enough. So take some steps, learn more here in the article, and know that, is it reversible? Absolutely. We have to also retrain our body, and we can do that.